ATG is proud to be the platinum sponsor for this event. Over the past 50 years, ATG has been providing innovative technology, marketing programs, and services that empower auctioneers to reach new bidders, grow their businesses, and compete in an ever-evolving landscape. Today, ATG operates 8 digital marketplaces and is the only provider that supports auctions across multiple platforms spanning multiple industries and geographies. Our marketplaces attract more than 100 million users annually, with 20 million monthly web visits and more than 110,000 new bidder account creations each month, offering auctioneers access to the largest bidder audience. Meanwhile, ATG's white label solution empowers auctioneers to grow their own bidder base within their own site with best-in-class bidding technology and marketplace integration.
As I'm Michael Hardwick with Permian International Auctions out of Midland, Texas, and we met up with ATG. They presented the white label bid spotter system to us, and we really liked it, so we went ahead and went with it. Customer service has been great. What I like about the ATG white label, it's your own branding, so the customers, I think, feel like they're doing more of a one-on-one type of transaction and stuff with you because it's got your logo and everything on it. The first sale, we didn't push much marketing because we kind of used it last minute, and I was still impressed with the amount of registrations and activity that we had on it. The second sale, we allocated some marketing budget to it, and we saw an increase in 25% of registrations. Time saving has been pretty good because it's one point of entry, and you get the white label platform plus everything put on the bid spotter platform. So how could you go wrong there with 2 for 1? Also on the clerking side, it's the same agent can run both systems. So far the results have been pretty cool, pretty good. We're excited to continue using the white label and bid spotter system. Thank you guys, and I appreciate ATG, and we'll see where it goes. Thank you.
Please take your seats. Our program will begin in 5 minutes. Gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program will begin in 2 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your 2023 through 2024 NAA President, Lance Walker, CAI BAS.
Is that appropriate that they would play a Rolling Stone song for this old man coming out to address you? Folks, ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here. The general session is about to begin, and I just want to say good afternoon. This is the 75th International Auctioneers Conference and Show in Pittsburgh, and I'm so glad to be here. Aren't you guys? Me. But before we begin, I'm going to call my son up, Eric, and my daughter, Caroline, and they're going to help us kick us off by singing the national anthem. Please stand if you're able.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Play ball. $14,557 invested in music lessons, and that was worth it. That was worth it. All right. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Terry, for bearing those two for me. I'd like to recognize, to begin with, our veterans that are in the audience. Veterans, thank you for your service. Would you please stand when we play your branch's song? United States Coast Guard veterans, please stand. United States Air Force veterans, please stand. United States Navy veterans, please stand. United States Marine veteran, please stand. United States Army, please stand. And to all first responders, those police officers, EMTs, firefighters, frontline essential workers, anyone in that capacity or has been in that capacity, please stand and let us show you our appreciation. Thank you so much for your service. Now, folks, we have a very special guest to kick us off. It's from the mayor's office, Senior Community Advisor, Melvin Hubbard L. He has a message from the Pittsburgh mayor. Melvin, would you come forward, please?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody feeling today? You can do better than that. We're here at the 75th anniversary of the National Auction Association Annual Conference. I said, how are you feeling? I want my supervisor, Mayor Gainey, to hear you up on Grant Street. How are you feeling? Well, it's a real pleasure to be here to present this proclamation to this conference. I was telling Katie and Lance earlier, I had never heard of the NAA until this, so she submitted a request for proclamation. But I must say this, learning about the NAA, I have a mountain of respect for what you do. I have a mountain of respect for what you bring to the table, what you bring to our country. For that much, you need to give yourselves a round of applause. Now, this proclamation has quite a few whereases in it. And sometimes when I get around a crowd that I feel some energy from, I like to do what they call a RICO. And a RICO is a call and response proclamation. You think you can help me out with that today? Do you think you can help me out today? Yep. All right. Now, when I say whereas, I need you to say for me, 75 years of excellence. Can you handle that? Let's try one. Whereas
75 years of excellence.
Hey, sounds pretty good in here. Here we go. 75th anniversary of the National Auction Association's annual conference and show. Today, Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. Whereas
75 years of excellence.
All right, whip it now. Founded in 1949, the National Auction Association, the NAA, is the world's largest professional association dedicated to auction professionals. And whereas
75 years of excellence.
headquartered in Overland Park, Kansas, the NAA represents the interests of thousands of auction professionals in the U.S., Canada, and across the world. And whereas
75 years of excellence.
the NAA is a membership-based organization. Is that true? All y'all members in here? Yes. I'm just checking. That represents a range of auction professionals who service various industries. And whereas
75 years of excellence.
the National Auction Association is dedicated to providing its members with a wealth of educational programming and resources, empowering them to advance themselves and, in turn, the industry. And whereas
75 years of excellence.
Now, I'm going to tell you about this next one I'm going to read. I was glad to see this in here because it showed me the character of this organization. And it reads this: members of NAA uphold a strict code of ethics. Isn't that nice? That's character building, ensuring the high standards of professionalism and integrity, and are connected with an extensive network of auction professionals. And whereas
75 years of excellence.
And whereas
75 years of excellence.
And whereas
75 years of excellence.
auctioneers are a vital part of our communities, facilitating the transfer of cherished possessions, supporting charitable causes, and driving economic activity. And now, therefore, Ed Gainey, Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, do hereby proclaim July 24th, 2024 as the National Auction Association Day in the City of Pittsburgh. He also urges all citizens to stand up and acknowledge this phenomenal, unique, extraordinary, exceptional, outstanding, and impressive association at the 75th year landmark milestone celebration. Congratulations! Woo! Now, I need to get a couple pictures here to make sure Supervisor and I was here today. This is something I practice.
Oh, thank you.
We'll put this back in for you, Lance, and get a picture if you hold this. That's all right?
That'd be great. trust us.
Oh, I have the utmost confidence, but
You don't know that guy. He's from Alabama. You just trust those guys. Okay. All right. Now let the real photographer come in here. Thank you, Mike.
we'll take it at his word.
Here we go. All right.
Enjoy
Thank
yourself.
you. That may have been the best speech from the mayor's office I think we've ever had. What a deal. Have you enjoyed Pittsburgh? How about that game last night? Oh, Cardinals, yeah. You know what's unique about Pittsburgh? It's the only city I know where if you're a Pirate or a Steeler, they pay you a bunch of money for it. Think about it, you'll get it. Melvin, thank you for coming. It's a lovely city. I love the view from my room, the bridges, the water. Before we begin, let's prepare in case there is an emergency. Check where the closest exit is in case of a fire or other emergency. We want to go across the street to Point State Park. If you have a medical emergency, please call 911 and notify a hotel and NAA staff so we can clear out the front entrance area to allow for the appropriate emergency vehicle. Now, I want to be sure to thank our sponsors for our conference and show this year. They're going to be on the screen here behind me. ATG, Innovate, Shipping Saint, Transon, Steffes Group, Blue River Digital, Bid Square, Bid Wrangler. Thank you for making all this possible. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. Now, before we begin, I want to recognize some other important folks. First of all, the NAA Board of Directors sitting right in front of me. Some of them are making faces, doing gestures with their hands, trying to get me to mess up here. But this group of volunteers has given of their time. They've given of their wallets to ensure that NAA is successful this year. It's easy to forget that those of us serving on the NAA board are like everyone else. We have businesses, we have personal lives, I used to have one, that inevitably take a toll when they devote so much time to helping out the NAA. Their dedication speaks directly to their devotion to both NAA and the auction industry. I want to thank you guys for your friendship and your hard work this year. And I look forward to working with so many of you again next year. So board, please stand, face the camera, and be recognized. Now, a sincere thanks to the National Auction Foundation trustees for their leadership and dedication. You know, in less than 10 years, the foundation has built an endowment that's able to help the scholarships, education vouchers with funding educational speakers. Foundation trustees, would you please stand and be recognized? I'm going to pick that pretty pink one with the pink coat on. I kind of like her. You know, the engine that makes NAA run in this group of people is our cornerstone committees. Those hard-working teams bring fresh and exciting ideas in their areas of specialty and also work with their subcommittees and task forces that work so hard with our staff to bring you events like this. So thanks to all the members of the Cornerstone Committees, as well as the more than 100 volunteers who compose the NAA leadership team, with whom I've had the pleasure of serving. Thank you for your hard work, your commitment to the NAA. Will all of our volunteers, would you stand and be recognized, please? If you volunteered in any way. Thank you. Now, these individuals who were outstanding answered a call that NAA put forth out for volunteers. And we can't do any of that without you helping us. So if you're interested in being a part of this group, scan the QR code on the screen. It'll take you to a survey. It'll help us determine where you're interested in volunteering so we can let you know about opportunities that fit your interests. We very much need you to do that. If you're interested, scan that. We'll be in touch with you. And speaking of volunteers, one of the greatest things we get to do today is we get to honor some very special volunteers. First is the Volunteer of the Year Award. Now, this award is decided by the Executive Committee and recognizes a volunteer who's gone above and beyond in helping NAA through committees, task forces, and any other volunteer service work. And this year's honoree has volunteered for NAA 2 years as a state ambassador, helping our visibility at the state level, as well as helping to recruit members. And that recruiting experience came in handy when he finished his CAI program in 2022, and he became the CAI recruiter in 2023. If you went to a state event or an NAA event in the fall of 2022 or spring of 2023, you no doubt saw our winner shaking hands and kissing babies and finding the auction professionals who were ready to take that step. What you may not have known is that he flew to those state events, auction schools, and more to recruit CAI 1 students at his own expense. As a result, this year's Class 1 CAI is the largest we've had in a decade. And those students will tell you we're better off for it. And if you'd like to connect with our honoree, be sure to sign up for this year's CAI class as Josh Lowensteiner begins his tour as CAI class advisor. Josh, would you come forward? Accepting on behalf of Josh Lowensteiner. He's not here. He's here. He's just not here. We'll get this to him. Is he out recruiting? That's good. I think I forgot a very important thing at the beginning. I was told this is made of glass and not to hit it hard. I'm going to pound the stuffings out of this and see what happens. No. There we go. Forgot to do that. All right. So Josh, you're not here, but we want to thank you for all you do. There's another award that we're going to announce today. I hope he's here. I think he is. This is an award that exemplifies not only the recipient's service, but their ability to give of themselves selfishly in a way that changes our organization and our path to the future. Now, this year's recipient has a very long history of significant and important input, not just for the NAA, but he's proved to be a very strong leader for the National Auction Foundation. You see, he served on the NAA Board of Directors, on a branding task force for the NAA. He served as trustee, vice president, past president, and president of the National Auction Foundation. This year, I would like to present the President's Award of Distinction to a very deserving servant of the NAA, my friend and yours, Sid Miedema. All right, one out of two is not bad. All right, now I want to remind you, if you wish to submit a motion under new business regarding an action for the board to discuss, please send an email to our CEO, Aaron Ensminger, by 11 p.m. tonight. Be sure to include your name in the message. He will then read your message to the membership when it's time for new business. Now, at this time, I'd like to ask Sherm Hostetter, we like to call him the Shermanator. He's the chair of the Candidate Review Committee, to come to the podium and provide his report. Oh, he's so small I didn't hardly see him. Sherm.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to thank the following individuals who agreed to serve on the committee with me: Scott Mahalik, Lance Walker, T. Kyle Swicegood, and Chip Pierce. The candidates had the end of February to file their documents and declare their intention to be candidates. After March 1st, the Candidate Review Committee interviewed all candidates, and each affirmed their understanding of the expectations of their office, and we discussed the skills they bring to the board. After careful consideration and discussion and debate, the following candidates are submitted by the Candidate Review Committee. For Vice President, the Candidate Review Committee recommends Morgan Hobson, CAI. For Directors, the committee recommends the following in alphabetical order: John Genovese, CAI, AMM, BAS, and Eric Rasmus, CAI, AMM. All submitted candidates were recommended by the Candidate Review Committee. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Is that all you got?
That's it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sherm. Thank you, Candidate Review Committee. It's now time for our candidate speeches. Candidates for Vice President have 5 minutes to complete their speeches. Directors have 3 minutes. First up, for Vice President, Morgan Hobson.
Good afternoon. Well, my name is Morgan Hobson, and it truly is an honor and a privilege to stand in front of you today as I step into this next chapter of leadership as a Vice President of the National Auction Association. First and foremost, I just want to express my gratitude to all of you. Thank you for supporting me and trusting me to lead this association. It's with great pride and humility that I step into this role, striving to fill the shoes of those who have paved the way before me, setting standards of excellence, integrity, and leadership that have shaped our association into what it is today. I joined the NAA initially because I was raised to believe in supporting causes that I care about deeply, causes that are knowledgeable about our communities and our industry's needs and issues, causes that will make a positive difference in the lives of others and enrich our communities. Growing up, I watched my parents invest their time into the associations that they were involved in, learn from the education provided, and freely give of their support and knowledge, always reminding me that service comes before self. So when I was handed the NAA membership form at the end of auction school 13 years ago, I didn't hesitate. I knew that I wanted to be a part of an association that could help me grow, both personally and professionally. A community with like-minded ethics that would challenge me to be at the forefront of our industry and support me along our journey. And what I found in the NAA was exactly that. My aspiration to serve as Vice President of the NAA is driven by a deep commitment to our auction community. My journey with the NAA has been characterized by an unwavering dedication to our industry, marked most recently by my tenure as Director of the National Auction Association Board, Chair of the IEC Committee, and Chair of the Community Cornerstone Committee. During my time serving on the Board of Directors, I've had the privilege to lead with integrity, championing next-gen and community initiatives like the Career Development Event for FFA students, and steering our communities and committees towards meaningful impact. These volunteer opportunities and experiences have not only enhanced my leadership capabilities, but have deepened my understanding of what it truly means to serve our auction community. As we look ahead, I see a future where the National Auction Association stands not just as a beacon of excellence in our industry, but as a community that fosters innovation, inclusivity, and growth. My vision is to build on our strengths, to challenge the status quo when necessary, and to assure that we remain at the forefront of our industry and the auction profession, adapting and thriving in an ever-evolving landscape. But our journey isn't just about looking forward. It's also about ensuring that every member feels valued and heard. Your voice matters. Each of you brings unique perspectives and skills that are essential to our collective success. I'm committed to fostering an environment where open communication and collaboration are at the forefront. So let's continue to build a community where ideas can flourish and where we support one another in both triumphs and challenges. We're stronger together, and there is no limit to what we can achieve. Whether it's through enhancing our educational programs, advocating for our industry, or expanding our network, every effort you make contributes to the vibrant future of the National Auction Association. So I encourage each of you to get involved. The more you put into this association, the more you will benefit from your membership. Attend our educational programs and offerings, engage in advocacy efforts, and participate in our community conversations. Your involvement is truly the key to our collective success. I'm ready to serve, to lead with confidence, and to work collaboratively towards a future where our association not only grows in numbers, but in the value we provide to each and every member of our association and the auction industry as a whole. Even though I'm running unopposed today, I humbly ask for your vote and support. I want to thank you for all that you do for our industry. It will truly be an honor to serve as your Vice President of the National Auction Association, and I look forward to contributing to our collective vision to be the voice of the auction industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. We'll now hear from our candidates for director. Please remember, candidates have only 3 minutes. The first, from across the pond, John Genovese. John.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and those in the room that have become like family to me, it's with great joy, honor, and humility that I stand before you, soon to join the board of directors for the National Auction Association. I'm honored to have this opportunity to serve because this organization has been instrumental in not only shaping the auction industry and the professionals that represent it every day, but because it holds a special place in my heart and in my life's work. I'm also very grateful to my loving wife and my daughters who couldn't be here today, but they have gifted their time with me so that I can be here to serve this association and you. Leanna, Zane, and Zanara, I love you. I know you're watching. My campaign slogan was going to be connecting our roots to the horizons. And I picked that because I feel it perfectly encapsulates the vision that I want to bring to my role on the board of directors. As we embark on a journey together, I'm committed to honoring the legacy of the industry giants who have paved the way for professionals like myself, the dedication and the passion that they've shown, the pioneering spirit that have built the foundation upon which we stand today. I believe it's our duty to preserve and celebrate their contributions. My father has always been the most encouraging person in my personal and professional career. And from an early age, even as a teen, he opted to change my role as someone who worked for him to someone who worked with him, including me in his business dealings. And what he taught me was that it's not just about making money, it's about earning money. It's about earning your role, and that if you put little work into something, you can expect to get very little out of it. And it's a core value that's embedded in my soul and is a driving motivator for me every day when it comes to my professional or my volunteer service. In my experience, working with the fellow auction professionals here, these are the types of values that are the backbone of our industry and our association members. The industry legends that have come before have shown the importance of hard work, of integrity, of ingenuity, and the art of building relationships. Their legacy is not just a part of our past, but it's truly the cornerstone for our future. However, honoring our roots does not mean resisting change. On the contrary, it means recognizing the importance of evolving with the times. The future of the auction industry is bright, and it's marked with rapid advancements in technology and emerging business trends. It is essential that we embrace these changes while staying true to the core principles that define us. During my term on the board, I am committed to fostering an environment that encourages growth, innovation, and collaboration. Together, we can navigate the exciting changes on the horizon while staying deeply rooted in the valuable traditions that have brought us to this point. I look forward to working with each and every one of my fellow board members and with each and every one of you together to honor our past and embrace our future. Thank you for this incredible opportunity. I ask you to both dig in and sail off onto the horizons with me to connect our roots to the future.
Thank you, John. Next up is Eric Rasmus.
That's not going to work. What's paper? Good afternoon, everyone. I'm thankful to be presented with the opportunity to join the NAA's Board of Directors. I come from a world of online auctions, from a culture of innovation and technology. Artificial intelligence, best practices of e-commerce, and client care are the nuts and bolts of my everyday business strategy. The love, passion, and commitment that I have for what I do will shine brightly in my approach in continuing to shape the NAA's vision. My goal is to bring new ways of thinking into this leadership role. Having worked with business partners from all around the globe, with all different cultures, I'm a big proponent of inclusion, empathy, and compassion. I grew up with live auctions, spending every day after school at my dad's office putting stickers on postcards while he worked until the sun came up. I sold hot dogs and hamburgers while Chris wowed the live auction audience. I sat on the back of a truck as he sold cars. I'm no stranger to tradition. As a director, I'm glad to share these ideas and developments, the ideas of development and knowledge, to elevate both our association and our industry. Having worked with the board as the education institution chair, I can say with confidence that we are on the right path. Our discussions have directed us into new ways of thinking, which in turn will result in some very exciting changes to come. My mission is to drive the NAA forward by integrating innovation and technology with auction traditions, fostering youth leadership, enhancing member engagement, educating the public on auction value, and actively listening to our members' voices to ensure a vibrant and progressive future for our industry. The NAA's membership has elected very strong leaders who are dedicated, passionate, and willing to serve. I am honored to be amongst them. I want to thank Aaron Ensminger, Lance Walker, Sherman Hostetter, and the rest of the board for their continued commitment, leadership, and inclusion. You all are like family to me. I'd like to thank Christina Franz, Director of Education, for everything that you do. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you, as members of the NAA, for continuing to share your ideas, passion, and support. I challenge you to be open to change, to not be scared of the unknown, to learn from outside industry leaders, and to grasp new ways of thinking. Embrace the weird. We have come such a long way as both an association and an industry, and I promise you that we will not slow down now. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Is anybody surprised that Erasmus came on stage with a notebook computer? I don't think so. Thank you to all candidates. Good luck. Remember, to NAA members, you must cast your vote electronically by 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Billy Long, that means you have to use your phone, okay? And now, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Chris Kalinda. Folks, if you're looking for a speaker with a pedigree, this guy has one. Chris helps courageous leaders create the future. He grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, a skinny and awkward kid, which made him a target. Determined never to be bullied again, he went to West Point and graduated near the top of his class in 1987. He served 24 and a half years in the Army, leading an 800 paratrooper task force on a 450-day deployment to Afghanistan. His unit motivated a large enemy force to switch sides and become allies. It's the only example in the 20-year history of the war. You can read more about it in Jake Tapper's best-selling book, The Outpost. Chris has been a trusted advisor to cabinet-level secretaries, four-star generals, NFL coaches, CEOs, and executive directors. He holds a PhD in war studies and is the author of 3 books. Chris has appeared on major national news networks. He was featured on the front page of the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post. His clients have grown grown by over $100 million and counting. When you positively want to succeed, call Chris. Now, I want to turn your attention to the screen. I want to compare what I'm about to say to what we did this morning. We had our first fun run of the NAA this morning, sponsored by Transon. Hey, those 50 people that were in it, stand up. You are special people. Thank you for it. I was there. I saw them get off. I didn't participate, but I saw them get off. They ran a mile, and it was a great fun run. I'm glad I got up early for it. But let me tell you, our speaker recently completed a 1,700-mile bicycle ride to visit the graves of his unit's 6 paratroopers who were killed in action in Afghanistan. The ride raised funds for the Sabre 6 Foundation. I want to show you a short video about that mission, and then Chris is going to come speak.
I want people to know our 6 fallen heroes as flesh and blood human beings, and not just as names etched into granite. The love that you have for people who you were in combat with, it never goes away. They died doing the things I asked them to do in places where I asked them to be. We're at the 15-year anniversary of that deployment, and I wanted to visit their graves. I could drive the 1,700 miles from Nebraska to eastern Pennsylvania to Arlington, but that just wasn't meaningful enough, not substantial enough. So I said, no, I can pedal a bicycle 1,700 miles. The only challenges were that I didn't own a bicycle, and I hadn't ridden a bicycle in 20 years. So I bought a road bicycle, I hired a cycling coach, and then started telling people so I don't chicken out. I started out in Spalding, Nebraska, 15 years to the day when Chris Pfeiffer died of wounds. The outpost came under attack, and a shot missed Chris's body armor by about that much. So Chris passed away on September 25th. The next day, his wife, Karen, went into labor, and the day after that, their daughter, Peyton, was born. Adrian Hike, who's buried in Carroll, Iowa, is one of our best non-commissioned officers, somebody who showed, just tremendous resilience. Jacob Lowell, his patrol came under fire, and Jacob provided life-saving fire support for everybody else in his platoon and was killed in action that day. He was awarded the Bronze Star for Valor. Ryan Fritchie is buried outside of Indianapolis. He was killed on July 27th of 2007, which is our biggest firefight ever. Captain Dave Boris, our best captain, is killed on a IED strike. Finally, Captain Tom Bostic, now Major because he had made the promotion list, he just didn't know it. He was killed by a rocket propelled grenade. It's a boom I still hear. I wanted to do something significant to honor their service and sacrifice.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
I think it's an honor. We really appreciate it.
There are a lot of people who survived who are struggling. It's about love for them, too. Combat is like a glacier that moves through your life at a high rate of speed, and it changes so much about you. Doesn't mean you're broken, it's just you're different. So helping that group of people who are struggling find that new purpose and belonging is vital. Had I not found that, I wouldn't be here today. They had my back for 15 months. People I love, people I want to make sure get the support that they need, the help that they need to achieve their dreams. Thank you. In the war since September 11th, just over 7,000 service members lost their lives, killed in combat. In that same period of time, over 120,000 veterans have died by suicide. That doesn't even count the deaths, other deaths of despair like overdoses and reckless behavior. Within our unit, my group of 800 or so, we've lost more than double to overdoses, suicide, and other deaths of despair than to enemy fire. And I couldn't know that this was going on and not try to do something about it. So that's why I said the Sabre 6 Foundation did this 1,700-mile bicycle ride and hired an awesome executive director named Dee Dee Kiso, whom I know all of you know. She's right here in the audience. Now, on a 1,700-mile bicycle ride, you have a lot of time to think. It was about 24 days, averaged, I think, 74 or so miles per day. And you have a lot of time to think. And you know, I do a lot with leadership, culture, and strategy. I help people build their businesses. And so I thought, I bet I can develop some thought leadership from this. And so I'm going to share some of those insights with you. Now, the video was right. When I first began contemplating this, it was about 18 months before I was going to begin. I was going to begin in Spalding, Nebraska, 15 years to the day when Chris Pfeiffer died of wounds. So I backward planned about 18 months and said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I actually need to get a bicycle and I need to start training. And so I bought a fancy road bike, a Trek road bike, and Trek Domani SL7. And I was like, if I can go 25 miles without feeling like it kills me, then I think I can do this. So that was my little personal gauge, and I did it. And so then I was like, all right, I'm hiring a cycling coach to really get my butt in shape, and then I'm gonna still people so I don't chicken out, so all that social pressure. And so I hired a guy named Chuck Kyle, who's an awesome cycling coach. And I asked Chuck, I said, or I had my first conversation with Chuck, and Chuck says, well, tell me how you feel. I said, yeah, I feel good. You know, I can go 25 miles. He says, well, how does it feel when you cycle? And I said, well, you know, my neck hurts, and my back hurts, my shoulders hurt, my knees hurt, and my butt kind of hurts. But other than that, I'm good. And he says, have you gotten a bike fit? I said, well, yeah, I adjusted the seat, you know, so my toes touch the floor. I'm good. And he said, no. Have you gotten a professional bike fit? Is that a thing? He said, yes, it's a thing. Every bike should be custom fit to the rider because everybody's body is different. And what they can do is not only can they raise and lower the seat, but they can move the seat forward and back. They can tilt the seat. They can raise the handlebars. They can lower the handlebars. They can do all sorts of things to make sure it's custom fit for your body. And yeah, if you're sitting down, just kind of rock back and forth on your seat a little bit. Yeah, rock back and forth. What you're feeling there are your sit bones. Now, most people's sit bones are 143 millimeters apart. My sit bones are 145 millimeters apart. So that meant, instead of my sit bones being here, my sit bones are out here. And so the saddle is hitting the soft tissue right between the sit bones, and it was very painful. So knowing that when I got my bike fit, I had a 145 millimeter saddle, and all of the pain down there went away. So I think it's just like anything in business and in life. The right fit positions you to succeed. So when you look at how to determine right fit, you can use a double axis chart just like this. So on the north-south axis will be affinities. Affinities like natural talents. You know it's an affinity if you love it. So you love it. And then you have skills on the east-west axis. And you know it's a skill if you are good at it. And this gives you 4 different zones of being, if you will.
If you are in the lower left, where you don't have a natural talent for it, you don't have the skill for it, so you hate it and you're terrible at it, then that's called the dropout zone, because that's exactly what people do in that situation, is they drop out. Did you know that Beyonce was a high school dropout? I mean, some fabulously successful business leaders, political leaders, have been high school and college dropouts. I mean, you can name a whole bunch of them just off the top of your head. It wasn't a great fit for them, and so they got themselves out of a situation that was a bad fit. If you're in the lower right, where you're good at it, but you hate it, you can do the job very well. Some of your employees are in this situation where they're doing the job very well, they're very skilled at it, but they hate it. And what happens is they burn in more energy than they ought to be. And this is called your burnout zone. And this is what happens when one of your top employees comes up to you and says, "Hey boss, here's my 2-week notice. I am smoked, I am exhausted, I need a break." This is what happens when we are in a situation that's just not, it doesn't meet our natural talents. So even though we're really good at it, we're burning more energy, eventually we're gonna flame out. Now in the upper left, it's very interesting, is when you love it, but you're not quite good at it yet. So this you can call the cultivate zone. And the key is to develop the skills to exploit your natural talents. Steve Jobs is a great example of this. In the 1980s, he founds Apple, and he's got this vision where he's going to change the world through information technology. And he's got all sorts of folks excited, he's got all sorts of investment, but his people skills, Jobs was so radioactive and so toxic that he's just driving people right out the door. And eventually it got so bad that the board, whom he handpicked from the company he founded, fires him. And Jobs went on to found a couple of different companies, but he learned his lesson. He was never going to be an awesome people person, you know, a Bill Clinton-like people person, but he learned enough so he wasn't radioactive, so he could inspire people to contribute their best. And in so doing, he moved to the upper right, which is your zone of genius. And imagine the impact, both for you personally, for you solo entrepreneurs, and for you business leaders on your business, if you and all of your employees are in their zones of genius. It's a situation where it simply doesn't feel like work, and people are contributing their best to your organization's success, and they're able to do it for the long haul because they're not flaming out. So that was the first lesson that I wanted to share with you today. The second one is, I was pedaling along from Nebraska into Iowa. Everything was great in Nebraska. Iowa, oh man, things started going a little sideways. I got road rage in Iowa. Yeah, and not me personally, but people road raging on me. I mean, shaking their fists and, you know, running me off the road, honking their horn, screaming at me. I mean, it's really strange. I actually saw somebody with road rage in Nebraska, but they had Iowa plates. So I don't know what it was in Iowa. So I'm dealing with that, you know, whatever. And then I went west to east, in part so I could start at Chris Pfeiffer's grave in Nebraska. And it had the added bonus of putting the wind at my back, because the prevailing winds are west to east. I figured, you know, instead of my normal 15 miles per hour in a cloud of dust, I'm not a fast cyclist. I might add a couple of miles per hour. You know, if you get 2 to 3 miles per hour over an 8-hour day, that's like, you know, 24, you know, fewer miles, or less time anyway. And you know, you get the windmills out there. And the windmills always face the wind. So I'm used to the windmills looking in my face. And then this is, I think it's like September 27th. I literally see the windmills do this. They're turning the opposite direction. And what had happened was Hurricane Ian starts moving up the East Coast. And it pushed all of the prevailing winds from, going east, or going from east to west. So now the wind's in my face. And instead of going 15 miles per hour, maybe 17 if I'm feeling really good, I'm down to like 12 to 13 miles an hour. And it's a struggle. And I'm getting kind of ticked off. And I start kind of whining, feeling sorry for myself. And then my butt started hurting again. And it was bad. I mean, I was sitting on bags of ice every night. I was eating Tylenol and ibuprofen like they're going out of style. And I'm like, this stinks. I mean, I got a pretty high pain threshold. This really stinks. And I'm approaching mile 600, and I'm like, man, I got 1,100 miles to go. I mean, I need to do something different. I mean, I don't know. Do I need a different saddle? Do I need to put on 2 sets of bike shorts so I double the padding? I'm like, what in the world? And so, when I finally gathered myself, I said, why don't I ask my coach? That's what he gets paid for. So I called my coach. I said, Chuck. He says, Chris, how you doing? I said, I'm about mile 600 now. I'm feeling pretty good. And he said, yeah. And I said, yeah, but my butt's really hurting. And he says, describe it to me. Okay. So I did. He says, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your seat, and I want you to angle it forward by 1 millimeter and tell me how it feels. Seriously? Yes. Angle it forward 1 millimeter, tell me how it feels. And so next day, angled that thing forward 1 millimeter, and it felt like a dream. I didn't double bib, I never sat on another bag of ice, didn't take another Motrin, another piece of Tylenol for the next 1,100 miles. It felt like a dream. And I mean, it just goes to show you, what a great coach does is helps you be your best you. Helps you make those small adjustments that take the pain away, that help you be your best you. A bad coach is going to try to make you like them. Going to try to make you do all sorts of things that make you look like them instead of the best version of yourself. Chuck helped me be me, and that's what great coaches do. Now, I also realized that during this time that great leaders and healthy people, they don't react, they respond. And here's what I mean. So if this is you, this is me, when I've got the wind in my face, I start whining to myself a little bit. To react, it actually comes from the Latin. It means to do again. It means done again. So reaction is always backward looking. And you're reliving that emotion again and again and again. What great leaders do, though, is this is always very visceral, or very emotional. So you're reliving that emotion. I'm reliving the emotion of frustration at now the wind blowing in my face. I'm slower now. It's like riding 24, 32 miles extra every day. And when I took stock of that, I said, this is not doing me any good to be frustrated by this. What I need to do instead of react is respond. And respond also comes from the Latin, and it means answer to. So you're answering to the situation, and it's very analytical. You still have the emotion, but you're channeling that emotion into something productive. So instead of just being upset that the wind's in my face, I used my backup bike, which had the cruiser bars. So you can lower your silhouette. You can't change the winds, but you can adjust your silhouette. And my bike coach helped me to make those 1 millimeter adjustments. So the combination of emotion, but governed by reason, is vital. So you can look at it also as a double axis chart, where you have analytical and emotion. Logic makes people think, emotion makes people act. So if it's all analytical, but there's no emotion involved, this is where you get paralysis by analysis. You just stand still, you ruminate, you stew. When you're low on both, no analysis, no logic and no emotion, then you're in drift. And you can only drift in one direction, and that's downhill. If you are all emotion and no logic, then you're rash, impulsive. You're acting out solely on emotion. Where you want to be, of course, is in the upper right, where you are both using logic and emotion. And that's where you're going to act appropriately. You might say, this is where you respond. And this is where healthy people are. And it's really a three-step process to get to this. C.S. Lewis, channeling Aristotle, said, the head governs the belly through the chest. And this is what he's talking about. The head is the logic, the belly is the emotion, the visceral. The response is what's in the chest. And it's a three-step process. The first one is, whenever we're feeling triggers, is to label the emotion. I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling fear. Just saying what that emotion is lowers the intensity. Second is what we call downshift, or create space between the emotion you're feeling, the impulse you're feeling, and the action you're going to take. And a great way to downshift is your simple 5x5 breathing. 5 seconds breathe in, 5 seconds breathe out. 5 seconds breathe in, 5 seconds breathe out. Do that 6 times, that's 1 minute worth of breathing. I guarantee you will create space between the emotion and action, and you'll activate the logic part of the brain. And that leads to the third step, is to reframe. Reframe the situation so you're responding, so your actions are constructive rather than destructive. And this is exactly what we teach people now from the Sabre 6 Foundation to help manage their emotional triggers. Learn that on a bike ride. So 1,100 miles goes by, and I'm crossing over into Arlington National Cemetery and crossing over Memorial Bridge, and I'm literally sobbing. Just all of the emotion, the fact that, did this. And I'm on the way to, the final resting place of Tom Bostic. And what struck me, or what came over me at that point, what I was thinking about at that point, were all the people that made this successful. Lone wolves starve. The strength of the wolf is in the pack, and the strength of the pack is in the wolf. The right crowd keeps you improving. And I figured that there are 3 kinds of people that we meet in our life. And they're called sappers, trappers, and zappers. So sappers, as you can imagine, are people that suck the life out of you. They sap your energy. They're the complainers, the gossipers, the awfulizers, the catastrophizers. People are just trauma dumping all over you. And, when you finish interacting with them, I got people laughing. They're like, I know some sappers. When you finish with them, you just feel like a husk. It's like, just drained. They just suck the life out of me. Take a second, take just like a couple seconds, and think of a sapper in your life. Second group of people are trappers. Now, trappers are people who love you just the way you are, and they don't want you to change. They want to capture you like a bug in amber, so you stay exactly that way. Now, sometimes trappers are loved ones, and they're comfortable with a certain version of us, and they like us to stay just that way. And they'll discourage us from growing because they fear that if we grow, we'll outgrow the relationship. Other trappers are frenemies. They're the people who feel threatened by our growth and will discourage it. Oh, you're going to make the rest of us look bad. Oh, that's way too risky. Oh, you shouldn't do that. And what they're trying to do is prevent us from growing. And if we listen to that unsolicited advice, we're going to be stuck. So take a couple seconds, and think of a trapper in your life. Third kind of person are zappers. Now, zappers, as you can imagine, are people that give you energy. They're the people, as soon as you're around them, you just feel better. You feel energized, you feel motivated, you're like, I know that I can do this. These are people who want what's best for you, who are willing to tell you the truth and can help you get better. And whenever you're around them, you feel like you can conquer the world. Take a moment and think about some zappers in your life. Now, I had a lot of zappers that helped me. Of course, Chuck Kyle, my cycling coach. My wife, Nicole, was absolutely awesome during this whole thing. People like Dee Dee Kiso, all zappers that made all of this possible. And I was just going through my mind thanking each and every one. And there's a theory out there called the 5 friends theory. And it goes something like this, that one way to evaluate ourselves is by the 5 people we spend the most time with. Are those 5 people sappers? If they are, that might mean we're a sapper too. Are they trappers? Are they zappers? And you can almost do just a quick inventory. So you have, these are the 5 people I hang out most with. Sapper, trapper, zapper, boom, boom, boom. And what we want to do is go 5 for 5 on the zappers. And in doing so, they are going to help us continue improving. They're going to help us be the best version of ourselves. And also, we're going to get some distance from people who are either sucking the life out of us or wanting to keep us trapped. And it's also good self-reflection to say, what role am I playing for others? Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to do a 2-minute drill. So turn to the person next to you, and for the next 2 minutes, talk about, hey, this is my top takeaway so far, and then if you have time, what do you like best about your work? And so we're going to do 2 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, I'm going to say, look up at me, and that's when conversation stops and you look at me. Okay? Ready? Go. Okay, 1 minute remaining. and 30 seconds. "15 seconds, go ahead and finish up that thought. Okay, 5 seconds, eyes back on me. All right, thank you very much. Okay, here's my promise to you for the next 30 minutes, just like the previous 30 minutes, is you're gonna get actionable tools. They're gonna help you in your life and your business. That's my promise to you. We already talked a little bit about the ride. I'm going to talk about the questionnaire. A lot of you filled out the questionnaire that helped me customize this to exactly what you want to discuss, so I appreciate that. I also had the opportunity to talk to John Schultz, Dan Newman, and Seth Weiner. Thank you so much for providing your insights. I have got copies of my book, signed copies of my book for you, which I'd love to give to you after this event. So thank you very much for doing that. So I'll do that. I'll talk about building bridges, which is exactly what you want to discuss. And then the remaining time we'll do speed round Q&A, which I answer your questions in 1 minute or less. Okay, so here we go. Here's what you said is on the top of your mind right now. Providing greater value at higher fees, improving balance in your life, finding the right fit clients, marketing boundaries, and staying on an upward trajectory were the most important ones. And what you're really talking about is the upward trajectory on, I'll call it the pyramid of awesome. So this pyramid works in any professional service industry. So whether you're in consulting or speaking or auctioneering, it works. Most people position themselves as vendors, act as vendors. And when you are a vendor, you become a commodity because you're just like everyone else. I am an auctioneer. I do auctions. You just position yourself as a commodity because somebody says, Joe, well, how much for an auction for you? $5,000. Jane said she could do it for $4,500. Do I hear 4,000? You know that's how it goes because we've all experienced that. All right, so, but this is where most people are. Now, some people fleet up to the next level. And that is, you're an expert. And an expert, you can charge higher fees. You've got a reputation, you've got a lot of skills, you talk very fast. I've heard some people talk so fast today I can't even follow them anymore. You all know how to do that. And the ones who are really good at being an auctioneer, you're an expert, you get to command higher fees. But it doesn't quite put you at the top. The challenge is that this here, whether you're an expert or a vendor as an auctioneer, this is all very transactional. I get paid to do a gig. I do a gig, I get paid. Where you want to be, if you want the best clients at the highest fees and the lowest level of pain, is up here as a trusted partner. Because when you're a trusted partner, you are not somebody who's just helping them do an auction. They know that you are somebody that's going to help them achieve their dreams. And ultimately, that's what people pay for. That's what people pay a lot for. They don't pay for just a skill. They pay to achieve their dreams. And whether that's in the nonprofit world or real estate or automobiles or livestock or whatever sort of auctioning you do, if you can become a trusted partner to your buyer, You are going to attract better people. So you're going to attract clients who are easier to work with, who are willing to joyfully pay, higher fees, and lower level of effort. And ultimately with greater impact. Now, the way that you do that, of course, to be a trusted partner is you have to build relationships. And the way you build relationships, you have to be genuinely curious. And we found this out the hard way in Afghanistan. I mean, Lance mentioned in the intro, and I appreciate Lance, that really awesome intro. Lance mentioned in the intro that we had motivated a big insurgent group to stop fighting and switch sides. And that was true, but we didn't start out that way. We started out as a 15-month deployment, so 450 days, and we're fighting for our lives, and we're trying to convince people to stop fighting and trying to convince them to work together with us, and telling them all the reasons that they should work with us. And what we were doing is saying, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. The worst. So, yeah, help. And so we're like, I'm here to help you. We come in peace. And for Afghans, it's just like, who are you? Thinks you can help me. You don't know me. You know anything about me. I don't trust you. I don't know if you're trying to take advantage of me. So don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out. And when we come at our clients or our prospects with, I can help you, the same things are running through their minds. How do you know you can help me? You don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about my business. You don't know what I'm trying to achieve. Who are you? And early on, I fell into this trap. I remember the first speech I ever gave Afghans. So we're like fighting for our lives, and the violence keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I went to meet with a group of elders up in Nuristan. It's the northern part of our area. And I'd worked hard on this speech. It's the most violent area, and I really wanted to make a good impression. We're pretty new in the country at that point. And so, you know, I'm doing it, I'm rehearsing it. I get to our outpost up there, and I asked my captain for an interpreter, and he says, yeah, here's an interpreter. You know, he's one of the older guys, spoke great English. And of course, up there in Nuristan, people speak Nuristani. Now, Nuristani is a spoken language only. There's no alphabet, there's no written component to it, and only Nuristanis speak Nuristani. So their secondary language is Pashto. There's a third language in Afghanistan called Dari, which is Persian, spoken more in the north and west. So I'm up there, I'm giving my speech. My interpreter's going, he's doing his thing. And I finish, and I notice that nothing I said like connected with anybody. I'm like, oh man, this is an epic fail. A couple of guys came up to me afterwards, and you know, just to be very polite, a couple of the elders. And my Afghan counterpart, a guy named Shir Ahmad, loved the guy. He comes up to me, he says, Commander, did you know why nobody understood what you were saying? I said, I have no idea. I worked so hard on this speech. And he said, because your interpreter was speaking Dari. I felt like such a fool. I had no idea. And you know, of course, the firefights continue. We had thought like all the bad guys, all the enemy was coming from Pakistan. That you know, these are like insurgent infiltrators and stuff like that. And then July 27th, so in 3 days, it'll be 17 years since the biggest battle we fought. 2 of our guys were killed, Ryan Fritchie and Tom Bostic in that fight, bunch wounded. And one of the things that we heard as the enemies coordinating on their walkie-talkies, we could hear them, was they were all talking in Nuristani. And it's like the scales fell from my eyes at that point. It's like we're not facing this exogenous force from Pakistan. The people who are fighting us are locals. 95% of the people we thought we were trying to help were actually trying to kill us. And we could go the next 365 days of that deployment engaging in big firefights, probably a lot of valor medals, plenty of people getting killed and wounded, and have no lasting impact whatsoever. Or we could change the game. And the only way we change the game is by building bridges to our primary customers, who are Afghan citizens and Afghan elders. And to do that, we had to be genuinely curious. So we had to follow a different path. We couldn't just say, I'm here to help. We had to, and Simon Bowen, who's a consultant, lays this out as well as anybody I've heard. So I'm going to use his methodology. The first one is, if people want to buy from you, they have to know that this person gets me. This person gets me, they get my business, they know my goals, my dreams, my aspirations. Once they're confident that you get them, then they want to know, does this person got me? Does this person have my back? Do I feel safe with this person? Or are they just trying to take advantage of me? And only after you've passed these two gates, gets me, got me, can you finally get to helps me. And so we had to go back to be genuinely curious about our primary customer, Afghan citizens. And doing that, we had to learn how to listen to understand. You know, there are three modes of listening. One is distracted listening. Distracted listening, you can imagine as somebody's looking at their phone while you're speaking with them. And you all know how that makes you feel. Or you're mingling out here, and while somebody's talking to you, they're like scanning, looking for the next person. That's distracted listening. And it makes you feel like they don't respect, or you feel disrespected. I should do that. The third mode, or the second mode, is listening to respond. So when you listen to respond, you listen to what the person's saying, but then something triggers you, and you start formulating your response while they're still talking. And so what you wind up doing is you wind up missing a lot of what they have to say. And sometimes what they have to say is more important at the end than what they let off with. And so you respond, and it's just like you respond in a way that doesn't make any sense to them. The third mode of listening is listening to understand. And listening to understand is a very simple three-step process. So your prospect, in our case an Afghan elder, is going to state something. We feel this way about X. These are our priorities. This is what we want. This is what I'm looking for in this auction. Here's how I'm trying to grow my business. So they're going to state something. And for us to listen to understand, the first thing we need to do is to restate. Restate it to their satisfaction. And we learned to do this in Afghanistan really well because we're working through interpreters, and some interpreters are better than others. You learn who the really good ones are. But nonetheless, every time they would state something, I would say it back. We learned to say it back to them. So what I hear you saying is this: is that about right? And when they say, yes, that's exactly right, then we knew that we at least understood that first point. And then, to be genuinely curious, you got to go to the next step, which is, use a different color, which is be curious. And the best way to do that is using open-ended questions. And there are some basic flavors of open-ended questions that I encourage you to use. So, what questions get people to think about objectives? They get people to think strategically. What do you want to achieve here? What are your primary goals? What values are most important to you? I prefer what questions to why questions, because why questions can elicit an emotional response. Why did you do this? You know, people might think they're under attack. What inspired you to do this, what led you to this course of action, is going to get you a more analytical response. How questions are get people to think about implementation, about tactics. How do you plan to go about this? What are your next steps? Is similar to a how question. How do you plan to implement? What if questions get people to think about alternatives. What if this happens? What if the situation changes? How would questions get people to think about alternative implementation tactics? And then finally, how well questions get people to evaluate. How well is this working out for you? How well did this go last time? What would you like to see done differently this time? So these open-ended questions are hugely powerful. They're a way you demonstrate genuine curiosity, and that lets the receiver know that this person hears me. I feel heard, I feel the person gets me, and now you can move towards gots me, building some confidence in that relationship. So these open-ended questions are hugely powerful. In fact, I can demonstrate the power of these. Can I get a volunteer? Oh, come on. All right, we got you. All right, just come on up. Awesome, awesome. I appreciate you. All right, so I'm going to turn this one around. Oh, Dan, all right. Fabulous. Okay, Dan, did we coordinate this at all? No. Have we ever talked about cards before between the two of us? Cards? Yeah, like playing cards. Okay, all right, so, and you had no idea that this was, okay, fabulous. Thank you. I needed it. Okay, so, you know, he's got my back. Dan got me. So with open-ended questions, you can actually shape behavior. So I'm going to demonstrate this by, we got the game of cards. Okay, so I'm going to predict what card you are going to pick. And I wrote it on the back of that chalkboard, but you haven't seen it. Okay, so we've got, let's see, suits. We've got diamonds, hearts, spades, and clubs. And then just the number cards, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, okay? Pick 2 suits. What 2 suits would you like to pick? Just tell me, yeah.
Diamonds and hearts.
Okay, diamonds and hearts, so that eliminates clubs and spades. Pick 1.
Diamonds.
Okay, and so no more diamonds. Of the 3, pick 3 numbers. 3, 5, 7. Pick 3 more, please. 6, 8, and 9. Between 2 and 4, pick 1. Your selection is the 4 of hearts. Okay, could you turn that board around, please? The power of open-ended questions. Love it. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
No problem.
Okay, so we're going to do another quick 2-minute drill. And I want you to practice listening to understand with the person next to you. So the person A is going to just say a quick, here's the objective of my business, or here's something that happened to me recently. Very brief, please. And then person B will restate to your satisfaction. Did I get that about right? Yes, that's exactly right. And then ask some open-ended questions. So we'll do that for 2 minutes. Ready? Go. 1 minute left. And 30 seconds. Ten seconds. Go ahead and close that thought and eyes back on me. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome, awesome. One person who was terrific at listening to understand is Nate Springer, who's pictured here with me in Afghanistan. And Nate was at a opening ceremony for a pipe scheme. And this is pretty early in our tour, and this pipe scheme had been being built for the last, 6 months or so before we arrived, and it's being completed, and so Nate's there at the opening ceremony. And the pipes were to bring water from the mountain to the village, because in order to get water, the women of the villages would put the 5-pound, the 5-gallon, clay jars, load them up and walk up the mountain and fill them with water and walk back down. And so the pipe scheme was going to bring the water from the mountain to the village. And so it's like, man, this has got to be a huge win. And Nate's sitting there. He's got the district governor, the police chief with him, a bunch of elders out there, and the contractor comes up to this spigot, turns on the spigot, and water flows. And most people are very happy. But one elder stands up, looks right at Nate, screams kafir, which means infidel, and he takes a swing at him. And like the district governor and the police chief are restraining this guy. And I mean, this guy just assaulted an American officer. And he's genuinely curious about this. He asked one of his interpreters, Iqbal, who was from the local area, he said, Iqbal, help me to understand, why is this guy so upset? And Iqbal says, well, here's what I found out. That spring was serving 3 villages. And the pipes only go to 2. That elder was from the 3rd village. And so that elder is now assuming that we and the Afghan government, everybody, are like ostracizing his village, wanting to die him out. I mean, this is survival to his village. And that's exactly why he acted the way he did. And so Nate spent some time. It took him about a month for them to agree to a meeting with him because they thought that this was a trick. And eventually they do meet with Nate, and they lay out their case, how they felt wronged by this, and Nate got another contract to get that pipe moved to the 3rd, or down to the 3rd village. So because of genuine curiosity, he made a village an ally that was ready to become an enemy. In our main outpost, we've been taking rockets. 107 millimeter rocket can put a size of, when it explodes, a shrapnel the size of a baseball will go like the length of this auditorium. And it will really mess up your day if you hit it, if you get hit by it. And we had a couple guys injured already, and this was happening several times a month. It's getting really annoying. And our initial response, the normal response would have been, go up and do a big military operation where the rockets are coming from and detain, try to find the people, detain them, destroy the caches. And this is when we're in our genuine curiosity mode. And we're like, I don't know. And then I asked my Afghan counterpart, Sher Ahmad. I said, Sher Ahmad, what would you do? And he said, I would go talk to them. Now, this village was on the east side of this big river that we couldn't get across because the only bridge is really narrow and our Humvees were too wide. But his Afghan military in their Ford Ranger trucks could get across. So they go across, you know, we've got like planes watching them and stuff. And he's there the entire day. And he comes back at the end of the day and he says, I said, well, Chairman, how would you find out? He said, yep, they're the ones shooting the rockets at us. Okay, that's good to know. What else did you find out? And he said, well, a couple years back, some commandos, U.S. and Afghan commandos, came in the middle of the night, and they did these night raids and allegedly disrespected the elders, stole women's jewelry, whatever, and this is their retribution. This is how they get their honor back, by shooting rockets at us. Okay? What else did you find out? They really want their kids to go to school. And all they have is a 3-wall building that has no roof. They have one chalkboard. They have about, the girls go in the morning, about 200 girls in the morning, 250 boys in the afternoon. And you got one person on the chalkboard, everybody else is writing numbers and letters in the dirt with a stick. So they really want school. I said, okay. Are you willing to go back there? And he said, oh, of course, they're great people. Even though they're shooting rockets at us, they're great people. And I said, okay. So we'd been asking people to give us, don't send us candy and like that kind of stuff. Send us school supplies. You know, because I'm convinced that one of the things that builds bridges between people, regardless of your culture, your religion, your politics, or whatever, we always want what's best for our kids. So I said, send us school supplies, send us notebooks and pens. And so we had like oodles of the stuff. And so a couple days later, Sharamad loads up his truck with notebooks and pens. Goes there for a whole day, comes back. Yes, they really appreciated the notebooks and pens. Like, all right, well, you know, maybe we're starting to build a bridge. You know, maybe some positive things can happen. And the next day, this was a Friday, the next day I get a note or I get a call from the people at the gate. Sir, there's a bunch of elders here to see you. I'm like, nobody scheduled, you know, to come see me. Friday's like day of rest, day of prayer. Where are they from? They said they're from Sal Village. Oh, bring them in. And so it's actually Nate and I. In fact, the elder on the other side of the screen is one of the gentlemen from the village. We go around shaking everybody's hand, and I get to the head person, and the head person hands me a stack of paper. And I said, what is this? And he says, these are thank you notes from our children, written on the notebooks and pens that you gave us. There would be more, he said, but most of them didn't think their handwriting was good enough for you. Heart absolutely melts. And we spent the rest of the day together talking about priorities for the village, number one of which was a school. We then worked with a non-government organization that specializes in working with rural villages, built a school. They defended that school against Taliban attacks. That school is standing and working to this day. So that's the power of building bridges. And it starts, you know, building bridges creates relationships, and that all starts with genuine curiosity. And that is exactly what's going to help you move from vendor to expert up to trusted partner, where somebody says, she gets me, she's got my back. This is a person who's going to help me achieve my dreams. Thank you very much. Okay, so that was my promise to you, is you get actionable stuff for life and business. And just by a show of hands, did I fulfill that promise today? Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I am very grateful for the opportunity to spend this past hour with you, and hopefully to give you some of those tools that will help you achieve your dreams. My entire goal is to help audiences exactly like you lead as the best possible versions of themselves, bring out the best in their employees, and grow their solo businesses. I would appreciate your feedback. That helps me do this. So if you could take a second to scan the QR code. Scan that QR code, and if you get a prompt, just enter list in the prompt. You get my reading list and other goodies from me. And I would appreciate you just let me know what your top takeaways were from this. So I'll give you like 2 minutes to do that because it's really short. It's not loading properly? Okay, my apologies. I'll get my act together technologically. Or yeah, could be Wi-Fi issue. But you can also go to that prompt, or just email me, chris@chriscalenda.com. Yeah, that's my email address. Super simple. My parting thought is, people say do hard things. I am, thank you. People say do hard things. I don't believe in that. I mean, beating your head against the podium is a hard thing. Do significant things. Take the time in your life to do significant things. And you'll be that trusted partner that everybody knows and loves. So thank you very much for your time and attention. It's an honor to be with you today. Thank you, sir.
You're now free to go to the exhibit booth, spend lots of money. You're dismissed. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance.
ATG is proud to be the platinum sponsor for this event. Over the past 50 years, ATG has been providing innovative technology, marketing programs, and services that empower auctioneers to reach new bidders, grow their businesses, and compete in an ever-evolving landscape. Today, ATG operates 8 digital marketplaces and is the only provider that supports auctions across multiple platforms spanning multiple industries and geographies. Our marketplaces attract more than 100 million users annually, with 20 million monthly web visits and more than 110,000 new bidder account creations each month, offering auctioneers access to the largest bidder audience. Meanwhile, ATG's white label solution empowers auctioneers to grow their own bidder base within their own site with best-in-class bidding technology and marketplace integration.
As I'm Michael Hardwick with Permian International Auctions out of Midland, Texas, and we met up with ATG. They presented the white label bid spotter system to us, and we really liked it, so we went ahead and went with it. Customer service has been great. What I like about the ATG white label, it's your own branding, so the customers, I think, feel like they're doing more of a one-on-one type of transaction and stuff with you because it's got your logo and everything on it. The first sale, we didn't push much marketing because we kind of used it last minute, and I was still impressed with the amount of registrations and activity that we had on it. The second sale, we allocated some marketing budget to it, and we saw an increase in 25% of registrations. Time saving has been pretty good because it's one point of entry and you get the white label platform plus everything put on the BidSpotter platform. So how could you go wrong there with 2 for 1? Also on the clerking side, it's the same agent can run both systems. So far the results have been pretty cool, pretty good. We're excited to continue using the white label and BidSpotter system. Thank you guys, and I appreciate ATG, and we'll see where it goes. Thank you.